Hello,
Hello,
and welcome to Fruit Salad. What's today's mix? I'm Geo.
and I'm Bigfoot.
You, you what?
You heard me. We want to thank you, lovely little fruits, for joining us on episode 15, the spooktacular episode of Local Myths and Legends. We've dug up the spookiest and coolest and perhaps weirdest local myths and legends of our areas. From the deep south to the far north, what exciting things are you going to learn today?
But, but are you really Bigfoot? You really Bigfoot? Found it! Found it!
I guess we'll just have to leave that to the viewers to find out, shall we?
Oh Lord! Oh no!
Oh my goodness. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Today is the 5th anniversary of me and my husband's wedding thing.
Yay!
The thing where two people do the thing and they do the thing.
I mean, I understood every bit of that.
Okay, good. No, it's me and my husband's 5th wedding anniversary. Today, we went out to eat. You know, I stuffed my face like a little piggy.
Yay!
And then I sat my butt down and watched more Degrassi because the show has taken over my life. I am on season 13.
Oh my lord.
So there's only one more season after this, or season 14. But then I remembered, no, there's more because I got to go back and watch the first series from like the 80s, Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High. So it's like,
Oh.
I think those are only like 2 seasons each though. So,
Oh my.
yeah, so I'm so tired of these little kids. But the thing is that the thing that I appreciate the most about it, like Jason was asking me about it. He was like, so like, do they just have like the same characters like all the time? I'm like, no, that's something I'm thankful for is that they're actually realistic with it instead of like the same people having like 30 freaking proms. You know, they graduate and they move on. They are
Oh,
constantly changing out the cast as they graduate. So I
good.
thought that was pretty cool. They're constantly introducing new characters, and it can be very real unrealistic at times. So it's like yeah, you guys kind of went overboard on a couple of seasons, but for the most part, it's very realistic, and I like it. I like
Good.
it, but I don't like the cast right now.
Right.
I'm sorry if anybody knows what I'm talking about. Claire sucks. I hate Claire. I
Sorry to
hate
all
her.
Claires.
She is not that pretty, guys. I'm sorry. Everybody's like, "Oh, Claire's so beautiful." She looks like a pug.
Oh no.
Okay. No, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful actress. I just don't like her character at
Yeah.
all. I hate her character.
Ugly
She's
insides
so
make ugly
annoying.
outsides.
She's so annoying. And I don't have any gas in my car, so I'm like recording in my spare room and I found this plastic.
That's fantastic.
I know.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I found a sticker,
Good.
our energy guide for our
Oh.
little window unit AC.
Oh.
Estimated yearly cost is $16.
Oh, that's
Nice. I'm
good.
gonna,
Nice.
I'm gonna stick this on my shirt.
It sounds like you had a way better week than I did. Or
Not
weeks.
really. My week is just watching a bunch of teen angst. I'm a 35-year-old woman watching teen angst, and I'm like, what the f- am I doing?
My week started in an ER.
Oh, okay. Well, tell us all about that.
I was gonna say, like, your week is definitely better than mine.
Well, tell me what could be worse than teen angst in the ER. Let's go ahead and tell us about it. Tell us about your shit
Oh
going
no,
on.
I just pulled my back in the early morning on like earlier in the week, and I actually couldn't get up, and I was in excruciating pain. And I've broken my lumbar before, so I was actually like worried I had slipped a disc or broke something. And anyway, my stepmom called 911 like an hour later, and I spent the next 5 hours in the emergency room.
Oh, Panda.
I know, turns out it was just a pulled muscle, but yeah, awkward and embarrassing for sure.
Muffle panda.
Gotta go for a ride in an ambulance.
Ah, the very overpriced taxi.
You know, it's the first time in my life I don't have to worry about that bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got some insurance, huh?
Well, I have state health care.
Oh.
Because I don't make enough money to actually, like, have good health care.
Oh. I don't think
Which
we have that here.
ends up being, like, actually really good. It's called Apple Care. And, yeah. I don't have to worry about going to the doctor.
Oh, see, me, it's like we got insurance. So it's like even then I'm nervous to go to the doctor. It's like if never call me an ambulance, I will crawl to the hospital if I have to. No, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't. No, I literally can't. I can't afford to.
It's actually
I can't
giving
afford to
me
step foot
anxiety
in an
thinking about
ambulance.
it.
I know, right?
Yeah,
But
no.
I'm good that you don't have to worry about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely better now. Totally fine. Back to working outside and everything else. Working on
You're not pushing yourself too hard, are you?
I'm trying not to, but I'm really bad
Better
about
not
that
be.
when I'm healthy, so.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
I'm just finding all kinds of stuff in here.
that's cool. That's
I
awesome.
never come in here.
You should. This is the intended purpose for that room.
Yeah, now it's kind of like a storeroom. The thing is that I had all my spare stuff in here and I cleaned it up really nice. It looked really good. I had the bed set up and I had a little TV set over here, my little bookcase, and it was just all nice and pretty. And then all of a sudden it exploded again, mainly because I had to finish cleaning out his storage shed when I was married to Satan himself.
Nice.
And yeah, so I had to finish cleaning out my storage, and I only have 2 bedrooms in my house, so no spare room.
Hey,
So
makes sense. Makes sense.
so yes. That's pretty
Cool.
much it.
Yeah,
Story of my life.
so we had
So
fairly boring weeks, I guess.
pretty much all my weeks are boring, actually.
Oh, panda.
I know. Oh, you want to hear my plans?
I do.
I plan to get a 3D printer sometime soon.
Yes.
And when I say soon, I probably mean like in next year, like January or February or something.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get like because they make them cheap now. They're like $200 for like a really cheap one. But I don't really need anything to make something elaborate. I'm not making freaking Eiffel Tower over here.
No, you just want to have good print quality.
Yeah, I just want to print charms, basically. And what I want to do is I've tried to mold a red mage hat from like Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
And I discovered I could not do it because every time I tried molding the hat, it always looked very vulgar, beginning with a V. It looked very V. So I was like, I can't do this. It looked like a V.
I'm gonna giggle about this all day.
Oh, God, it's not bad. You can tell what it is, but it could be a lot better.
But
so
it could end up on like the subreddit blurst images.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I plan to get a 3D printer where I can actually make high quality tiny charms and turn that one charm into like a silicone mold. I can just make like a lot of them with that one piece.
Right.
And I plan to make 14 themed soaps. Like for Red Mage, I want to have it scented raspberry and rose with a rapier sword and the Red Mage cap and possibly their job symbol. So throw that in there. And I wanted to do Blue Mage that will have their cane with the mask and their little job symbol. And I wanted to scent that lily and blueberry.
Ooh.
I know it. What did I say? I was going to do astrologian too, right? I was going to have that like probably citrus scent with a card. And what else did I say? It was going to be a card, their job stone, and something else.
You know, the
Because it's going to
beach
be.
ball, when it's in its dormant,
Are you
like,
talking about their
phase.
animal weapon?
Yeah, no, literally, the beach ball, yeah. When it's in its dormant phase is incredibly simple design.
Yeah, it'd have to be like an astrolabe or something.
Yeah.
Astrolabe. Because I
Astrolabe.
can't really think of anything else. It has to be a card, their stone, and their the astrolabe. But I
Stars.
plan to
I don't
do
know.
stars, yes. But I plan to do one for each job class.
That's really cool. You could,
Like
yeah.
for Bard, I'd like Bard if I was going to do Bard because the job stone is naturally green. I love green. It's like a bright green color. So I would like to scent it
Mm.
like lime and ginger.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
I know, right?
It's like
It's like
botanical soaps. I love it. You should have an
I
Etsy
think of like,
shop.
oh God, if I can make these molds and actually do it right, I plan to actually sell them. I'm not going to do the Heritage Festival like I said I would because I kind of talked myself out of it because I'm not prepared for that level of pressure just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all that nonsense. But anyway, enough about my craziness and me sitting on the floor in my spare room looking around. What else do we
Fantastic.
have in here? We look on the desk.
Well, what's this week's podcast episode really about, Panda?
Ooh, I found my calico critters.
It's definitely not about the calico critters, but I'm so happy about that.
You tell them what it is. I'm playing with my toys.
Oh my goodness. Well, episode 15, as mentioned before, is local myths and legends from our areas.
Really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But where's the rest of my toys?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot we're doing something.
Yes.
I wanted to play with my toys.
But we're doing a thing.
All right, local myths and legends. You've actually been wanting to do this for a while, and I said, you know what? Sure. Because I was pretty much out of ideas. And it's something you've wanted to do for a while, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, this is like one of the first episode ideas I pitched.
Yes. Hey, I actually found my book of serial killers.
That's cool.
I'm gonna read this tonight.
We could do a true crime episode.
Oh god, no. Don't get me started. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take 3 urban legends from the state that we live in. I live in Mississippi, and she lives... Where do you live? Tell me where you live.
I live in Washington.
She lives in Washington. I live in Mississippi. I live in the deep south, and she lives up in the deep north.
Well, in the north.
She lives in the deep north. So what we're going to do is that we have picked 3 urban legends from our state, and we're going to take turns talking about each one. So, Panda, let's see. How do we decide who goes first? We didn't talk about this.
I don't know. Flip a coin.
I don't have a coin. I'm sitting on the floor.
I have dice.
Okay. I pick high and you're low.
Okay. First dice I grab. Please be a percentile. Well, it's a D20. That'll work.
That'll work. High or low?
High or low?
I got high.
You got high. It's 19!
I go first. Okie dokie artichokes. My first one that I had picked was the Witch Dance of Natchez Trace. This one was actually recommended to me by my coworker Seth, so thank you for the suggestion.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, this is creepy. I love it.
Witch Dance of Natchez Trace, and I actually pulled up some information from this online. I used the website legendsofamerica.com, so if you want to hear more about the Witch Dance of Natchez Trace or any other cool like legends around this country, you can visit their website. Figure I get that out of the way before they sue me.
Definitely.
There was a picture of a sign, and that sign read, it's actually like a state sign. It's got like a magnolia and stuff on it because that's our state flower. It says Witch Dance. The very name conjures visions of eerie midnights, swirling black capes, and brooms stacked against a nearby tree. The old folks say the witches once gathered here to dance, and that wherever their feet touched, the grass withered and died, never to grow again.
Oh.
Impossible? Maybe so. But look around. Look for a hidden spot where no grass grows. U.S. Department of the Interior, Nation Park Service, parentheses 3.
Oh.
I wasn't supposed to read that part.
No. But good sourcing.
Yes. South of Tupelo, Mississippi is where Witch Dance is on the Natchez Trace Parkway. It's now a campground and supposedly one of the most haunted places in the state. Witches would gather in this place for night ceremonies and to improve their abilities. No one knows who these witches were. Chickasaw and Choctaw Indians would avoid the scorched patches on the ground where the witches supposedly danced. Andrew Jackson found the spot interesting and even wrote about it in his journal when he traveled up the Natchez Trace. The Hart brothers, Joseph Thompson Hare and Samuel Wolfman Mason, is it Wolfman? Probably Wolfman. Samuel Wolfman Mason would rob and murder people along the trace and were so reviled that they were described as remorseless butchers and also damned to wander the streets of Natchez for eternity.
Oh.
Prior to their death, or this death. Why did I write this death? Anyway, I'm going to read it how I wrote. Prior to this death, one of the brothers, called Big Harp, was traveling the Natchez Trace with an Indian guide who showed him the scorched ground and told him the legend of Witch Dance. He found it to be stupid and would jump around, daring the witches to come out and fight him. Nothing happened, but Big Harp was tracked down by a posse in Kentucky in August 1799, where he was killed by a man who was exacting revenge for the murder of his wife by the hands of the Harp brothers. Big Harp was decapitated, and his head was nailed to a tree. They say the skull was removed by a witch, ground into powder, and used as a potion to heal a relative. When word got around in Natchez, when retelling the story in the trace, people said they could hear cackling laughter from nearby trees.
So this lady helped a family, and then they're like, she's a witch. I love it.
I have no idea.
I want to go there, though. It sounds cool.
I don't even know where it's at.
That's okay.
I live under a rock. So that's my first urban legend from Mississippi.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
My first one, of course, gotta cover the big one, because I'm from Washington. Bigfoot. So, got some bad news. I'm not really Bigfoot, sad day. But I have...
Oh, wait, what? No. I was going to get you to sign an autograph.
I'm so sorry.
I was going to turn you in for big bucks. I would never turn you in, even if you were Bigfoot.
Oh, thank you.
You'd be my Bigfoot bestie.
That's the best.
Yeah.
I've
take blurry photos together.
Perfect.
Anyway, keep going. Tell me about the Legend of Bigfoot.
Oh, perfect. So, kind of hard to imagine that somebody wouldn't know what Bigfoot is, but in case you've never heard of the Legend of Bigfoot, I've lived most of my life in Bigfoot country. And of course, when I suggested this topic, this was like, have to talk about Bigfoot, like, unnegotiable. Like, there is no negotiating. So,
you gotta do it.
I have both a personal anecdote and I have some, interesting information I got out of this amazing present I got for Christmas last year called Weird Washington, which is a book that is supposed to be your local travel guide to Washington's local legends and best kept secrets. And it's by Jeff Davis and Al Euphrasio, which is right up my alley. So Bigfoot is a pretty old legend. I mean, it was a native legend before, colonizers started talking about it. the Suquamish and the Lumi Indians around the Puget Sound, you know, they frequently saw like two different kinds of Bigfoot. There was the big, peaceful, like timber giant kind of Bigfoot that everybody thinks about. And then there's small, meaner ones. And like the mean ones apparently carry, wait. Yeah, the mean ones carried a magic stick. Sorry, I misread my notes. Stick. But, like, this magic stick, like, it could hit any tree 3 times, and the tree would just fall over.
Ooh.
Supposedly. I mean, they're known for, like, kidnapping people, for killing children. Like, they sound like genuine monkeys, like, if you just think of it like a scientific perspective, the meaner ones, anyway.
So violent orangutans.
Kind of. You know, in, like, the 1830s, the 1890s, there was a group of Colville Indians that encountered several of the smaller stick-wielding Sasquatch, which they called the Skenicum. Oh god, I probably horribly am mispronouncing all of these native terms.
That's okay, keep rolling with it.
But apparently a new bride left camp and went to the river to fetch water, where one of these Sasquatch kidnapped her and made her his wife. And like the next year, the Indians managed to rescue the woman who was pregnant, who carried the baby to term and named him Patrick. And like, according to a doctor, the natives said, you know, Patrick was short, about 4'5", but his arms were like down to his knees. He had a large sloping forehead, large lower jaw, and like despite his very odd appearance, he was supposedly super smart and successful. But he like died around the age of 30. So weird. Yeah, super weird. My personal experience with like Bigfoot legends were, I haven't had any here in Washington, but I have had them in Idaho, and since the legend spans that whole like breadth, I figured that would be okay.
Yeah, of course.
So I would go hiking in the national forest occasionally with my friends. And this time we went up like a lot further than we ever did, way up into the mountains. We're like 50 miles from the nearest like named road that isn't Forest Road 10532 or something.
Yeah.
And we came across this area of the forest that was kind of like a clearing, not like a clear cut, but the trees had been like ripped out of the ground and there was like still roots attached, but then flipped upside down and speared into the ground, so they were the wrong way up. And it was super creepy. And like the whole purpose we were out there is I was hanging out with my friends and we were going Sasquatch hunting, like, because that's a thing that teenagers do.
Why would anybody want to go Sasquatch hunting?
Because there's a lot of weird evidence out there. Like, the woods are weird up north in this area.
Could have told you that. That's why I don't go outside.
But I like weird. And I've done, like, the ghost hunting thing. And I was like, you know, I love the Legend of Sasquatch. I'm going to go do the Sasquatch hunting thing. Not hunting with, like, guns, but just cameras. And, and, I mean, we heard some pretty convincing yells in the middle of freaking nowhere. I don't know if like they had more friends and they were just pulling one on us. You never know, but it was weird. There was some convincing stuff.
How do you know if it was a Bigfoot sound?
Well, like supposedly people kind of know what they sound like. Like they just hear these yells in the forest occasionally. Of course, I mean,
what if it was somebody that had some really bad Mexican food?
I mean, could be. You don't know.
So what does one sound like?
Oh, I'll have to find one and include it in the Does
it sound like?
No, it's more of like a, you know, like an actual like yell. Like it's very distinct.
So it's not like a.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not like a y'all.
No, but you know, I have been terrified by the sound that deer make occasionally, just like normal white-tailed deer. They make some weird noises. Oh god, yeah. Yeah, they make interesting sounds.
I didn't know they made sounds.
Yeah.
I thought that they were just graceful and elegant So what do they
No.
sound like? Do they sound like a screaming goat? Because that sounds awesome.
No, at first when I was, this is when I was living up in Idaho again, and we lived out in the middle of nowhere, where if the moon's not out, you can't see your hand in front of your face, that kind of dark,
Mm.
where you can just see the Milky Way with your naked eye.
Ooh.
And I was, I had my window open, which it's just like a dark portal to nothingness, right? Especially if the lights
Right.
are on. Even if the lights are off, it's dark portal to nothingness. But it was hot and I needed my window open or I was gonna die. So I had my window open and I heard this like soft grunting and like snuffling sound. And I honestly thought that I was gonna die. But yeah. Found out that was a deer. Felt really stupid about that.
Ah, Lord, Panda. The
I
things you
know.
get up to
I know.
without my supervision.
It's true. It's very true. But
Well,
yeah,
okay. I got my next one lined up, and this one
perfect.
is rather a doozy.
Nice.
This one is about the Mercritis outbreak of the 1950s.
Dude.
Yes, it's actually
Oh
really
boy.
cool. The source that I used for this was a website called onlyinyourstate.com, and the article was written by Daniela DiRienzo. So thank you for making a very cool article that really caught my attention, and I hope it catches yours. All right, the Mercritis outbreak of the 1950s. Mercritis was an infectious disease that would turn women into homicidal psychopaths.
God, I love it.
There's no proof that this ever happened, but people have talked about it in Mississippi. So there's no proof that this ever happened, but apparently people are saying, yeah, this totally happened, guys. You gotta believe me. There's no proof whatsoever, but for totes, totally happened.
Totally.
Apparently, men would get mercritis by ingesting large amounts of lead because that's what men do.
Okay.
They just ingest large amounts of lead.
Perfect.
This would cause them to secrete a chemical that would turn nearby women violent and go into a homicidal rage.
I like that it's the men's fault.
Even women that were normally docile and affectionate would not stop until they killed a man.
Oh.
The first case happened in Europe where a local man was chased by a dozen women through his seaside village, and in order to escape their onslaught, he jumped into water with below freezing temperatures, and the women followed him.
Oh my lord.
It said that they all died. Everyone that was in the water died. In the 1950s, the disease made its way to a small town in Mississippi. No specific town was ever named, but it started when several men ingested large amounts of lead. And then the women lost their minds, seeking to kill every man they could find. And you know what? I get a touch of mercritis once a month.
You know, I think I do too.
We all have a touch of mercritis in us once a month, guys.
I love it.
But I just thought that was insane. I mean, the article wasn't long, and it's an urban legend, so you can't really prove this stuff.
Right.
But I just think it's really crazy that there's guys that have ingested large amounts of lead, and it made a chemical that made them secrete this stuff that made women lose their freaking minds.
It's
like,
just
I can just
plausible
imagine,
enough.
I can imagine one guy just like freaking, I don't know how he would do it, but he would do it. And he would just be walking through the town, and then all of a sudden, the women just stop, and like one's holding like a glass bottle, and she just breaks it, and she's like, "Ah, I'm coming for you."
You need to watch Rick and Morty.
It's like mercritis, man.
Yeah, there is an episode in Rick and Morty where Morty basically causes mercritis. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding now that I think about it. Yeah, definitely. I need to show you that episode. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But yes, mercritis in the 1950s.
Fantastic.
There's no proof it ever happened. A town in Mississippi was never named, but apparently people said it for totes for real happened.
That's
Okay.
fair. That's fair.
But what about you? What's your number 2?
My number 2. Doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
Kidding. So the second local myth and legend I chose is from Seattle, which is just a short, hour jaunt away, basically, across the ferry. And it takes place at the Pike's Place Market, which is super popular. And anybody that's been to Seattle, even as like a touristy thing, has probably gone to Pike's Place Market, except for me. I've been to Seattle a bunch of places.
What's in the market? What do they sell?
So my understanding is that it's a lot like, my only reference is Faneuil Hall, which is in Boston, but it's basically an open air kind of market that's also kind of indoors, that has various different vendors and various different shops, and like you could walk the whole length of it and get food from 17 different countries, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like it's pretty neat. So I think that's what it's like. That's what Faneuil Hall is like anyway. And that's kind of what people have told me Pike's Place Market is. I really need to go.
Well, what? Yes, you do. Because I would kill to have something like that anywhere near where I live.
You need to come visit.
I do. I need to get a life. God.
But
anyway, what's your story?
Anyway, my story is, and forgive this butchering of this name. I hope I do it right. It's a native name in Lushootseed, which is
You said shit.
Stop that. But it's the native language of the Suquamish and like Duwamish people, I think. Don't hate me.
Are they Native Americans?
Yes, they're Native Americans. And
okay.
The legend in my Weird Washington book and various other places on the internet is called The Legend of Princess Angeline, but that's not actually her name. Her name is Princess Kikisumlo, I think. I hope I pronounced that right.
Kikisunlo?
Kikisumlo.
Kikisumlo.
I think. But she was Chief Seattle's daughter. So she actually was a Native American princess.
Oh, cool.
She basically, this legend is, about her, and she how she's lived well past her own time, and still haunts Pike's Place Market in Seattle. People who go there claim to occasionally see an old Native American woman who's sitting among a bunch of native style woven baskets on a blanket. And when people try to get closer to buy from her, once they get through the crowd, she's always gone. Oh. And she's always by this area where these there's a bunch of flower sellers. And when the people go and ask the flower sellers nearby, like where the woman went, because, they wanted to buy a basket, the flower sellers will usually smile and just say, oh, that's Princess Angeline. And historically, like I said, she was the first daughter of Chief Seattle, probably born somewhere around 1820. And after American settlers arrived in Seattle, one of the city's founders' wives rechristened Kikosomlo as Angeline, because apparently she was too good looking of a woman to carry around that kind of name, which I think is horrifically wrong.
Yeah, that's gross.
But moving on, but I have to mention, my stepmom works very hard towards decolonizing and working to repair bridges between Native Americans and colonial Americans. So that's why I'm trying really carefully to do this right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, anyway, the legend goes that Princess Kikosumlo did not want to leave her home when the U.S. government ordered the Suquamish and Duwamish natives to relocate to a reservation super far away from their ancestral homes. So the princess and a handful of other natives stayed in Seattle and basically adapted. They found work in, white man's Seattle, quote unquote, and to make a living, she did laundry for settlers and sold various native handicrafts to survive, often selling them on the streets. And she had a little cabin that was eventually, torn down after she died. And that area became part of the Seattle waterfront and later on Pike's Place Market. So where people claim to have seen her ghost is where her cabin was.
Oh.
But now it's just a marketplace, so she just appears as a Native American woman selling baskets. I thought that was like the coolest legend.
That is really cool.
Sad, super sad, but
when you go visit, you have to keep an eye open.
I will.
Yes. Try to snap a picture for me. I want to see her beauty.
I bet she's gorgeous.
I bet she is. I think I have a ghost crush. But no, that's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
You really need to go, not only so you can try food around the world, but just to see if you can catch a glimpse of her, because I think that would be really cool.
It'd be really neat. I want to wait until COVID stuff is over so it's in full bloom again.
Absolutely. So, question, Seattle was named after Chief Seattle?
Yeah, Duwamish chief.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I learned something new today.
You did.
Hooray.
The Puget Sound, or what was formerly known as the Puget Sound, was officially renamed the Suquamish Sea again. It went back to its native name finally. Woohoo!
Good. It's a victory.
It is a victory. Small things.
Hooray.
All right.
Well, I got my third and final story ready for you guys. And I knew that if I did not bring this up, I would not hear the end of it. So for mine, I chose Robert Johnson's Deal with the Devil.
Ooh.
Yes. And my source for this was Wikipedia. Because
it can be a good website.
It can, I trust Wikipedia. I do. Because there's usually this one guy that's wrote like 3 million articles going around editing everything left and right, and I trust him. Wait, let me find his name. I want to be like, I trust you, guy. He deserves to have his name known. Do Google search guy who edited 1/3 of Wikipedia. Stephen Pruitt.
Thank you,
Stephen Pruitt. He has also created more than 35,000 Wikipedia articles. And he is the man behind 1/3 of what's on Wikipedia. So Thank you, Stephen Pruitt.
Hey, Stephen.
You are a hero, and I wish Wikipedia was around when I was in school.
I had the start of Wikipedia. That was interesting.
I had encyclopedias, like actual encyclopedias in the house, so
Britannica was online. Yeah. Britannica was free when I was a kid.
Robert Johnson's Deal with the Devil, source Wikipedia, aka probably Stephen Pruitt.
Nice.
Robert Leroy Johnson was an American blues singer, songwriter, guitarist, and legend. He was born in Hazelhurst, Mississippi on May 8th, 1911, and died August 16th, 1938. He is recognized as a master of the blues, particularly the Delta blues style. He was only active from 1929 to 1938. According to the legend, Johnson had a huge desire to be a great blues musician. Let me re-say that. According to the legend, Johnson had a huge desire to be a great blues musician, and one of the most popular legends states that he was instructed to take his guitar to a crossroad near the Dockery Plantation at midnight. It was there that he was met by the devil, who took the guitar and tuned it. The devil played a few songs, and when he gave it back to Johnson, he received mastery of the instrument. In exchange for his soul, Johnson was able to create the blues, for which he became famous. This legend was developed and retold over time and chronicled by many people and was an explanation, I can't read, and was an explanation for how Johnson mastered the guitar so quickly. There
Wow.
were details added, such as the devil was depicted as a large black man, and some people can't seem to agree on what supposedly happened.
Ooh.
Some people say it happened at the Crossroads, which people can't seem to agree which crossroad it
Hmm.
actually is. And some people say it happened in a graveyard.
Hmm.
Now, there is a connection with another musician named Ike Zimmerman of Beauregard, Mississippi, who learned to play the guitar at midnight while sitting on tombstones.
Oh.
It's said that he may have influenced the playing of Johnson and that the two of them did practice at night in graveyards because it was quiet and nobody would disturb them there. Johnson did spend about a year living with Zimmerman, and they returned to the Delta together.
Ooh.
And let's see, Dockery, Hazelhurst, and Beauregard have claimed the locations of the crossroads, and there are tourist attractions also claiming it to be in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and in Memphis, Tennessee.
Hmm.
The people of Rosedale, Mississippi, claim Johnson sold his soul to the devil at the intersection of Highways 1 and 8 in their town. Blues historian Steve Chisborough says it may be impossible to find the exact location because Robert Johnson was just a rambling guy.
Huh.
So
That's
there's an
cool.
explanation as to how he got so good so fast.
Right.
He probably, him and Zimmerman probably found each other, and they discovered they actually had a real liking for the guitar. So they would practice in graveyards late at night because who wants to go to a graveyard?
Yeah.
Only crazy people.
Yeah.
So they would practice playing the guitar, on tombstones because it was quiet. Nobody would disturb them there. And they probably got along really well. And so they lived together for a year. I'm not sure. I didn't catch the location of where they moved to, but they lived together. But when they came back, the dude was like a badass. He was like,
Oh.
rah. He's like, I got this. So he was just strumming, and he pretty much influenced the blues. He influenced rock and roll. He was
Hmm.
pretty much the birthplace of modern music, really.
That's really cool.
Without Robert Johnson, we would probably still be listening to like Renaissance type music. People don't, there's some people that don't realize how big of a deal and how much of an impact this young man had on music. And
Oh
it's just
yeah.
a shame that he died so early in his life. And he was only active from 29 to 38. So he wasn't active very long, like barely 10, like 9 years, I believe. Yeah.
Sounds like right on the cusp of 10 years. Oh my god. I
Yeah.
think Supernatural did an episode about that actually.
The most I remember about like a pop culture reference to Robert Johnson was there was an episode of Metalocalypse that actually kind of touched on that. There was
That's cool.
they the group, I love this show because it's just idiot metal band tries to do normal things and they screw it up preposterously. They actually went down south because I can't remember what reason. I think they had no reason to sing about anything. They weren't as miserable as they thought they were. So they had to go down south and learn how to play the blues, and from a guy called Mashed Potatoes Johnson. And so he taught them all about the blues. And it was actually a really good episode. It was really funny.
That's
So
nice.
I'm gonna have to go and rewatch that episode now because it's a classic episode. But yeah, there's all kinds of like pop references to this, and I think there's like only 3 photos of this guy, and he's like a really handsome guy. If you ever get the chance, look up Robert Johnson. He's smiling, holding his guitar. He's really handsome.
No.
So he's a cutie, and he's badass with that guitar.
That's
So
awesome.
we got a little bit of time left, so you know what that means. It's time for Panda's number 3.
Alright, number 3 is the weirdest one that I have.
Can't wait to hear this one.
Yeah, It was a toss-up, actually, not even with the one I had you exclude, but the toss-up for flying jellyfish was, tree octopus, and so we went with the jellyfish.
Tree octopus.
Oh,
I thought you said it was thunderbirds.
well, it was thunderbirds, but, like, between thunderbirds, flying jellyfish, and tree octopus, tree octopus got cut.
Oh, yeah, definitely. How can you be flying jellyfish? Okay, I've waited all day for this, so tell me about these flying jellyfish.
Okay, flying jellyfish. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are hearing that right. So buckle in. This comes from my book from Weird Washington. I did a little bit more research and found more information about it online too, which is just so weird to me. So, Charles Fort, who is an author and investigator of all things odd, has speculated for a little while that there is a species of nearly transparent jellyfish that float in the upper atmosphere, that have the ability to change color, kind of like a chameleon, and blend into the background. A chameleon or an octopus or whatever. And over the years, pilots, like professional pilots, have actually reported seeing odd-shaped objects in the sky, UFOs, that shockingly resemble jellyfish. And other people have found large numbers of dead birds with burn marks on them that look similar to the burn marks people get from jellyfish.
I don't want to go in the sky anymore.
Nowhere is safe. No. So here's some of the odd and interesting proof. We can take a jaunt, over to Oakville, Washington. It's a town located along US Highway 12 between Elma and Rochester. And today, it's a town of about 1,000 people that has an annual zucchini festival and the last known bank robbery in Washington state. But back in 1994, there was a strange rain that was reported that made this tiny, sleepy little town of Oakville famous for a few weeks in August. So on August 7th, reportedly, a woman named Sunny Barclift looked out her window through the rain, because it rains a lot here, and looked at the black roof of her shed. And she noticed against the black shingles that there appeared to be something kind of about the size of rice, but amorphous in shape. And when she picked it up for further examination, it appeared that it was made of some jelly-like texture, and they were really clear. However, after touching the substance, Sunny, as well as a couple other people that also reportedly touched the substance, went to the hospital suffering from fatigue, nausea, and arrhythmia, which are very common side effects with jellyfish stings that are dangerous ones. And a couple days after this rain, a kitten living outside of Barcliff's home died from an unknown intestinal problem. They couldn't figure it out. The local doctor said, oh, the kitten probably ingested an antifreeze or something.
Oh.
But they really couldn't tell. But that's not even the weird part. So the doctor, even though he didn't think that, this weird jelly substance that was collected had anything to do with the cat's death, he sent it to a lab to get analyzed. So the lab first thought that it contained, many different substances, including human white blood cells. And so people immediately started thinking that it was waste fluid from an airplane. But health authorities stepped in because it had gotten to be a huge national news, the Inquirer was talking about it, it made headlines everywhere. So the government stepped in and brought the samples to a better lab and found out that there are no, there was nothing human about it. There was no human DNA in it at all. But there were living cells in the blobs that had no nuclei, as human cells do. And so investigators were left with an unidentified living material that fell from the sky on August 7th.
That is
So
really weird.
it's freaky. Some people
It makes me
speculated.
very uncomfortable.
Some people speculated that it was caused by a nearby, quote unquote nearby, testing that the U.S. Air Force was doing. They 2 weeks before the rains fell in Oakville, the U.S. Air Force was responsible for conducting a series of live bombing exercises off the coast of Washington. Someone suggested, no one knows who, but someone suggested that the bombs exploded in the middle of a school of jellyfish, blowing them to bits and launching the remains into the atmosphere, where the pieces were apparently small enough to float along the clouds until coming down in rainstorms, but that doesn't seem likely to me at all. And like the big problem with that is that the material would have to float for nearly 2 weeks over a distance of 70 miles to Oakville. I just don't think it could happen. I really don't. But, you know, I mean, the jellyfish rain falling once is weird, right? Twice is odd. 3 is a pattern, but it's happened 6 times across the United States. That one tripped me out. So it didn't just happen in Oakville. In 1977, the city of Everett, Washington, also had a mysterious jelly rain that hospitalized people, and conspiracy theorists have a fun time thinking that these blobs are part of some mysterious flying jellyfish going through some sort of high-altitude spawning ritual in the Earth's atmosphere, which is horrifying to me.
I don't like this.
So that was the weirdest one I could find.
This makes me very uncomfortable.
How weird, you know? Like, it's actually, like, hospitalized people. There's medical evidence of, you know, burns and just, it's crazy.
I don't want to think about that. Now I'm going to go outside and have an umbrella all the time. I don't need to get swooped up by a freaking air jellyfish. Why do you put these nightmares in my head?
You said you wanted to know.
I do. Now I wish I didn't.
Fantastic. So yeah, that was my third one. I think I did pretty good today. Brought my A game.
I think you've given me nightmares. I don't appreciate that, Pam.
I'm sorry. I love you.
I love you more. Now shut up.
No.
That should just about wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us on Fruit Salad. What's today's mix?
I mean, come on. Is anybody else a little worried about flying jellyfish? I mean, I'm a little concerned.
I'm very concerned.
I think even Bigfoot would be freaked out by flying jellyfish. That's why he lives in the forest, dude. There's always a canopy. He doesn't have to worry about the jellyfish.
And you wonder why I don't go outside. You've given me another reason to stay inside where it's safe. Now, if you excuse me, I am going to stay inside for the rest of my life.
Oh no. If you have something you guys would like to hear our comments on, please be sure to leave us a message at fruitsalad.whatsthemix@gmail.com. We would love to hear your weirdest local legends of your area, and who knows, if you guys can top ours, we might even share them. I'm Tabby.
And I'm not going outside. I'm Geo. We hope to see you beautiful people next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.